Okay, y'all, praise glory and honor is most certainly to the Most High, the God of the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and peace to you in the name of Jesus. This is your brother Elisha Israel of the house of the faith. I count it truly a blessing each and every single time that I can come before you to preach the word of God, and never will count it as a light thing to do so. Now, if this feed goes out, brothers and sisters, I'm just coming right back in. It's acting kind of funny. Took me a while to get on, longer than usual. Nevertheless, it's a blessing to be here today. And I just want to deal with Mother's Day as a holiday, because people, oftentimes they say, well, should I be celebrating Mother's Day? Well, excuse me. I want to read something about the history of Mother's Day. And this is from history.com, and then I'm going to go into the text. Okay, so this is history.com on the Mother's Day 2020. It's from history.com editors. It says Mother's Day is a holiday honoring motherhood that is observed in different forms throughout the world. In the United States, Mother's Day 2020 occurs on Sunday, May 10th. The American incarnation of Mother's Day was created by Anna Jarvis in 1908 and became an official holiday, U.S. holiday in 1914. That's under Woodrow Wilson. Peace to you, Brother Will. It's good to see you. It's madness, these people, bro. Yeah. That's every day. Let's see. What was that? Let me see. Yeah, if you need to holler at me, holler at me. Jarvis would later denounce the holiday's commercialization and spent the latter part of her life trying to remove it from the calendar. So the person who got it put on the American calendar, she was actually against it at the end of her days, kind of like the Roe v. Wade case. But nevertheless, it says, while dates and celebrations vary, Mother's Day traditionally involves presenting moms with flowers, cards, and other gifts. And many people are in church on this day. Under normal circumstances, minus Corona, people would be in church. There's a whole big thing in the church. All right. But then they get into the further history of it. It says celebrations of mothers and motherhood can be traced back to the ancient Greeks and Romans who held peace to you, brother, who held festivals in honor of the mother goddesses Rhea and Sybil. But the clearest modern precedent of Mother's Day is the early Christian festival known as Mothering Sunday. Okay, so you see the origin. So this is nothing new. The honoring of a mother or motherhood, it has pagan roots. Okay, now we understand that Jarvis is the one that brought it in for different reasons we'll read, but ultimately we're going to get into why it's folly. Number one, like I said, you venerating your mother on this day. That's something that, or on any day, is can be traced back to mother worship. But it says once a major tradition this Mothering Sunday, once a major tradition in the United Kingdom. Let me go back and read this again. Celebrations of mothers and motherhood can be traced back to the ancient Greeks and Romans who held festivals in honor of the mother goddesses Rhea and Sybil. But the clearest modern precedent for Mother's Day is the early Christian festival known as Mothering Sunday. So even just like a lot of these days that you have, they're pulling from various things. Just like give an example of Thanksgiving. People say, well, Thanksgiving is not pagan. They were having harvest festivals. These English settlers that came here, they were having harvest festivals prior to coming here. That was like in honor of Ceres back in the day, where you get the word cereal from. This is, you see in various cultures these pagan festivals around harvest. So that's something that they were doing in England, and then they just did it when they were here. And then it ultimately morphed into what we have today, Thanksgiving. Okay. Which is again some more folly. But then it says, once a major tradition Mothering Sunday, once a major tradition in the United Kingdom and parts of Europe, this celebration fell on the fourth Sunday in Lent and was originally seen as a time when the faithful would return to their mother church, the main church in the vicinity of their home, for a special service. Over time, the Mothering Sunday tradition shifted into a more secular holiday, and children would present their mothers with flowers and other tokens of appreciation. This custom eventually faded in popularity before merging with the American Mother's Day in the 1930s and 40s. All right, I'm going to read a little bit further. Peace to you. Read a little bit further. Let's see. The origins of Mother's Day are celebrated in the United States dates back to the 19th century. In the years before the Civil War, Anne Reeves Jarvis of West Virginia helped start Mother's Day work clubs to teach local women how to properly care for their children. These clubs later became a unifying force in a region of the country still divided over the Civil War. In 1868, that is, Jarvis organized Mother's Friendship Day, at which mothers gathered with former Union and Confederate soldiers to promote reconciliation. Another precursor to Mother's Day came from the abolitionist and suffragette Julia Ward Howe. In 1870, Howe wrote the Mother's Day Proclamation, a call to action that asked mothers to unite in promoting world peace. In 1973, Howe campaigned for Mother's Peace Day to be celebrated every June 2nd. Other early Mother's Day pioneers include Julia Calhoun Blakely, a temperance activist who inspired the locals' Mother's Day in Albion, Michigan in the 1870s. The duo of Mary Tyler Sasson and Frank Herring, meanwhile, both worked to organize a Mother's Day in the late 19th and 20th century. Some have even called Herring the father of Mother's Day. Anna Jarvis, the official Mother's Day holiday, arose in the 1900s as a result of the efforts of Anna Jarvis, daughter of Anne Reeves Jarvis. Following her mother's 1905 death, Anna Jarvis conceived of Mother's Day as a way of honoring the sacrifices mothers made for their children. After gaining financial backing from a Philadelphia department store owner named John Wanamaker in 1908, she organized the first official Mother's Day celebration at a Methodist church in Grafton, West Virginia. And that's one thing about it. You constantly see this being observed in church. Growing up, I went to a Baptist church that my grandparents helped found. And one thing you constantly saw, Mother's Day was a big deal. Mother's Day was not as big as Easter or Christmas, but it was right up there. It was a day in which it was a Mother's Day service in the church. All right. Let's see. Following the success of her first Mother's Day, Jarvis, who remained unmarried and childless her whole life, resolved to see her holiday added to the national calendar. Arguing that American holidays were biased toward male achievement, she started a massive letter writing campaign to newspapers and prominent politicians, urging the adoption of a special day honoring motherhood. So it seemed like a little bit of feminism as well is thrown in there as well into this gumbo of garbage. All right. 1912, many states, towns, and churches had adopted Mother's Day as an annual holiday. I'm going to say that again. By 1912, many states, towns, and churches had adopted Mother's Day as an annual holiday, and Jarvis had established a Mother's Day International Association to help promote her cause. Her persistence paid off in 1914, where President Woodrow Wilson signed a measure officially establishing the second Sunday in May as Mother's Day. Anna Jarvis had originally conceived of Mother's Day as a day of personal celebration between mothers and families. Her vision of the day involved wearing a white carnation as a badge and visiting one's mother or attending church services. But once Mother's Day became a national holiday, it was not long before florist card companies and other merchants capitalized on its popularity. Hey, just like Christmas, it's all about that money. Let me read something here in Acts. Because it's that mother. So let's see some mother worship here. And let's see it's all about the money. Let's go to Acts of the Apostles real quick. And then we're gonna go back to Torah. But Acts the 19th chapter. She worried about some, because it's all about the money. Acts the 19th chapter at verse 23, it says, "And the same time there arose no small stir about that way. For a certain man named Demetrius, a silversmith, which made silver shrines for Diana." Now that's Artemis. Okay, that's the Greek Artemis. So that's it's the same. These pagan goddesses are the same with different names. Peace to you, sisters. So it said, which brought no small gain unto the craftsmen. So Demetrius, a silversmith, which made silver shrines for Diana, brought no small gain unto the craftsmen, whom he called together with the workmen of like occupation, and said, "Sirs, you know that by this craft we have our wealth." So making these shrines to Diana, that's how we getting paid. But see, Paul was throwing a monkey wrench in that. It said, "Moreover, ye see and hear that not alone at Ephesus, but almost throughout all Asia." This Paul hath persuaded and turned away much people, saying that they be no gods which are made with hands. Okay, so what's the origins of this mother veneration? It's pagan. We read here in the history.com article, is pagan fertility or pagan mother worship. It says, so that not only this our craft is in danger to be set at naught, but also that the temple of the great goddess Diana should be despised and her magnificence should be destroyed, whom all Asia and the world worshipeth. And when they heard these sayings, they were full of wrath and cried out, saying, great is Diana of the Ephesians. Okay, so now they crying out, great is Diana. Now I'm gonna skip down a little bit. Verse 34 says, but when they knew that he was a Jew, all with one voice talking about when they came before them. Let me read into it. In verse 30, it says, when Paul would have entered unto the people, the disciples suffered him not. And certain of the chief of Asia, which were his friends, sent unto him, desiring him that he would not adventure himself into the theater. Some therefore cried one thing and some another, for as the assembly was confused, and the more part knew not wherefore they were come together. And they drew Alexander out of the multitude, the Jews putting him forward. And Alexander beckoned with the hand and would have his defense unto the people. But when they knew that he was a Jew, all with one voice about the space of 2 hours, peace to you, brother, cried out, great is Diana of the Ephesians. So they weren't trying to hear it. They weren't trying to hear it. Of 2 hours, they yelling, great is Diana, great is Diana. So that's just, when you talking about Mother's Day, that concept, conceptually, that concept of mother worship is old. Okay, but now let's go to Exodus, the 20th chapter, because the Bible doesn't specify a specific day in which you're supposed to venerate your mother. You're supposed to honor your mother and your father every day. This is Exodus, the 20th chapter. Exodus, the 20th chapter, and I'm going to pick it up at verse 12. Exodus, the 20th chapter and verse 12. It says, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Okay, so that's something you're supposed to do every day. Let's go to Matthew, the 15th chapter. Actually, let's go to Matthew, the 15th chapter. Because one thing about that, it doesn't put a stipulation on Matthew the 15th chapter. And here the Messiah speaks about how they changed that through their own worship. Matthew the 15th chapter and verse 1, it says, then came to Jesus scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem, saying, why did thy disciples transgress the tradition of the elders, for they wash not their hands when they eat bread? But he answered and said unto them, why do ye also transgress the commandment by your tradition? He said, for God commanded, saying, honor thy father and mother. He that curseth father and mother, let him die to death. But ye say, whosoever shall say to his father or his mother, it is a gift by whatsoever thou mightest be profited by me, and honor not his father or his mother, he shall be free. Thus have you made the commandment of God in none effect by your tradition. So in other words, what he's saying is, it's some people that have even taken that and made it to if provisional, say it's a gift. I can honor you if I can obey you and honor you if I want to. But you don't see that in Torah. It said, honor thy father and thy mother. Okay, so that's an example of what they did. And he went on to talk about how they worshiped him according to the traditions of men. Okay, that's why he went on to say, but in vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. Let's go to let's see. Me and Matthew, you might want to stay in Matthew. Hold on. But one thing, let's go to Leviticus. Because one thing about it is people had a question, well, what shouldn't I do this? Well, how do you justify doing this when in church on Sunday, the wrong day, like most people, you're in church, you're doing this, doing that on Mother's Day, you're doing this, you venerate mother, but wait a minute, you didn't upheld mama, but you ain't upheld God. You got a day for mama, but you ain't got a day for the Most High. When he gave you days. Let's go to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. This says, Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, in verse 1, it says, give me 1 second. It says, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations or holy gatherings, even these are my feasts. Peace to you, brother. I didn't even see it. Thank you, brother Willie. Appreciate you, bro. Yeah, I might just hide her with a name like Officer Sausage. I might just hide you from the page altogether. All right, Leviticus 23 in verse 1 again. It says, "The Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of the Lord, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts." Now he has feasts, and ultimately, it's for our benefit. They outline a plan of salvation for man. And we had a Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Pentecost. We had Memorial blowing of the trumpets. You had a Day of Atonement. You had Feast of Tabernacles. But one thing about it, and the 7-day Sabbath, one day about it, thing about it is they have done away with that, which the Most High gave. He gave it, and people have done away with it. They claim to believe in the Messiah when he was on the earth. He observe these days, but you don't observe these days. You replace the Sabbath with the first day, and yet you want to also venerate mama? We're going to have a special day for mama, but what about the days, the weekly Sabbath and the annual feast that he gave unto us to observe? What about those? That's why I say it's folly to go deal with this nonsense. Let's go to Malachi. Matter of fact, let's go to Luke first. Let's go to Luke, the 11th chapter. Because you can get beside yourself. I'm a venerate mama. You see, especially our people, particularly men who've been raised by their mamas, and I understand mamas going through all kind of stuff trying to raise kids. A lot of times they didn't have either illegitimately have no help with, or they done been abandoned by a man, or whatever's going on. They didn't try to struggle to do what they can, and then one of them make it to the league, and you got he got snot bubbles coming everywhere. Talking about his mama got him there when his stepdad he the one taught him how to play. But nevertheless, let's go to Luke the 11th chapter. Because you got a lot of veneration of mama. Even I remember one year when he was President Barack Obama, he was degrading black men on Father's Day. Again, you got veneration of mama even when that shouldn't be the case. But Luke the 11th chapter and verse 27. I want to hear something, because you need to honor your mother and your father, but you don't need to be venerating her too. Don't get beside yourself. How you gonna have a day for mama? You ain't honoring the days of the Lord. You done spend all your life honoring the day, this day on mama. You ain't did it one time for the Lord. You better check yourself. Luke the 11th chapter, verse 27. Again, don't get beside yourself. It said 27. Luke 11 and 27, and it came to pass as he spake these things, a certain woman of the company lifted up her voice and said unto him, blessed is the womb that bare thee and the paps which thou hast sucked. Now she's talking about the Messiah's mama. He said, oh, she blessed. Oh, blessed is the womb that bare thee and the paps which thou hast sucked. Well, don't get beside yourself. We understand that Mary was a righteous woman. Even was blessed out of highly favored among women. But don't get beside yourself. Don't get beside yourself. He said, yea, rather, blessed are they that hear the word of God and keep it. I'm going to read that again. And it came to pass as he spake these things, because it's good. As he spake these things, a certain woman of the company lifted up her voice and said unto him, she said, blessed is the womb that bare thee and the paps which thou hast sucked. But he said, yea, rather, blessed are they that hear the word of God. and keep it. That's who's blessed. That's who's blessed. You want to venerate mama, don't get beside yourself. Let's go to another place. We go to Matthew the 12th chapter. Because when you really believe, when you a believer, the question is, who is mama? Matthew the 12th chapter. And we're going to pick it up at verse 46. It said, while he has talked to the people, this time about the Messiah once again speaking to the people, his mother and his brethren stood without, desiring to speak with him. Now his mother, that's his natural mother, the one from which he came forth from her womb. Then they wanted to speak with him. His brethren wanted to speak with him. Then one said unto him, behold, thy mother and thy brethren stand without, desiring to speak with thee. But he answered and said unto him that told them, who is my mother and who are my brethren? He said, and he stretched forth his hand toward his disciples and said, behold, my mother and my brethren. For whosoever shall do the will of my Father, which is in heaven, the same as my brother and sister and mother. For believers, brothers and sisters, many of us, our mama not even in the truth. Our natural mama ain't in the truth. But your mother and your brother are in the faith. That's the union of within Christ that you have with them, which supersedes all that nonsense that you get in the world, all that foolishness, all that rejection that you get from mama for trying to keep the Sabbath day, all that rejection you get from mama for disavowing all the lies that she taught you growing up. Because there's one in the faith, that's your mama. That's just, you look at the relationship between Timothy and Paul. It's a union there that supersedes all that nonsense, all the darkness of the world. Now let's go to Malachi. You can't justify. I'm gonna keep this day. I'm gonna venerate my mother, but the father of us all, I'm not gonna pay no attention to. You've lost your mind. You lost your mind. Go to Malachi 1. And here he says something here. Now he's talking about the priest here, but the Lord is telling us something about himself, about who you need to be honoring. He says, a son honoreth his father, and a servant his master. If then I be a father. He said, if then I be a father, he said, where is mine honor? He said, and if I be a master, where is my fear? Saith the Lord of hosts unto you. He's talking to the priest. He said, oh, priest that despise my name, and ye say, when have we despised thy name? He talked about how you offer polluted bread upon mine altar, and say, wherein have we polluted thee? And that ye say the table of the Lord is contemptible. So you haven't shown proper honor to God, but you want to venerate your mama. You better rethink the whole thing. You better rethink the whole thing. I'm going to say it again. A son honoreth his father. Honor thy father and thy mother. You should. And a servant his master. You work for somebody. Listen, everybody in a position where they answer to somebody. Even that one you would call your boss got the answer to the Most High. But it says, son honoreth his father and a servant his master, if then I be a father. He said, if then I be a father, where is mine honor? And if I be a master, where is my fear? And that's the question, brothers and sisters. How are you going to uphold? That's what I'm saying. Because I'm getting questions, should I be keeping the, Mother's Day? Well, you ain't really honored the father yet. You, your mama, your daddy, everybody need to be honoring him. Y'all not doing that. We want to uphold Mother's Day. We need to listen. We need to throw all that stuff that we've acquired in this Western world as far as religion and worship, and throw it. Listen to this now. Throw it in the trash. Take Easter, trash. Christmas, trash. Mother's Day, trash. Thanksgiving, trash. Sunday veneration and weekly Sunday worship, trash, trash, trash. Throw that garbage, Lent, trash. Because when you go to the root of those things, what you find, you can take that mess all the way to Babylon. That's where you find yourself. You got Jesus' name or the Messiah's name stamped on a bunch of nonsense, a bunch of falsehood. And we need to throw it away. We need to get rooted in what was given in Torah, what's given in instruction. That's what we need to get rooted into. We need to be, we ain't have dealt with what he gave us. And we want to celebrate something that these people gave us. Even from a cultural perspective. Why are we going to go after some Jarvis, whatever, what's her name? Anna Reeve Jarvis. Why do we care what she thought about her mama? And even she was like, man, this is trash. She even said throw it away. So why we going to hold on to it? Because mama want to be upheld on that day. Mama want her flowers in her card on that day. Mama want to be taking the Golden Corral and eat that food that everybody done breathe on. Man, y'all better go get a clue somewhere. But with that, brothers and sisters, I want to remind you that we're at the Household of Faith, meet every Sabbath at 5925 West 25th Avenue in Gary, Indiana, at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. We are just live streaming for the moment because of this, obviously, the circumstances. But again, that's 1 p.m. every Sabbath, which is Saturday, at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. Peace to you, brother. Well, I appreciate you, bro. What else I want to say? Yeah, same thing. I'll say every time I come before you. We have a Bible study every Friday on Zoom. Okay, if you look at the description of All Praise to the Most High, brother Daryl. If you look at the description of this video, you'll see all the previous videos. You'll see how to get onto Zoom. Or just go to YouTube, our Israel Teach YouTube website, Israel Teach YouTube site, and you'll see instructions on how to do that. If you've been edified through the ministry and would like to leave a donation, you can do so on our website. 100% of the proceeds go to the work of the ministry. Our website is www.israelteach.org. All praise to the Most High, and peace to everybody that's listening. There are also books that are available that I've written. Into Egypt Begin with Ships, The Pagan Origins of Christian Holidays, Hell Like Wool, Feel Like Burn Brass, Killing Black Innocence, For Then Shall Breed Great Tribulation, and In Defense of Biblical Polygyny. All those books are available where books are sold, Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, etc. With that, brothers and sisters, peace to everybody. It's always my prayer that you were edified.